going to hear from someone who has a similarly clear-eyed view, and that's Jean Lambert, who's London's Green Party MEP. Over to you, Jean.
It's true that the book really is worth a read, a watch, everything else, and then some action on the back of it. And I was asked to talk a little bit about what's happening, if you like, at a more political level, although, of course, the personal is political, but in terms of sort of some of the institutions. And I've sort of come to this partly my background. I'm interested in supply chains. I'm interested in how cotton is grown. I'm interested in what happens to the water supply. I'm also there because I'm on the Employment Committee in the European Parliament, so I'm interested in trades union rights. I'm interested in workers getting a fair deal for the work that they do, and particularly women workers. There's still an enormous pay gap in our own country. Look at the construction industry if you're also looking for another big pay gap, but it's also there very much in the garment industry internationally. And lastly, I suppose because I chair in the Parliament a delegation that deals with 6 of the countries of South Asia, including Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Bangladesh, which are all big ready-made garment industry countries. And of course, Rana Plaza was, I suppose, a call to arms for many people, and not just the Bangladeshi Garment Manufacturers Association, who will tell you that it was a wake-up call for them and for the better garment manufacturers, and understanding that what they were doing 20, 30 years ago when they set up was not acceptable in today's world, and that if they want to have a garment industry into the future, they really need to change. Which is nice to say, but it needs some help. And some of the help that's come has come from European Union working with the Bangladeshi government, with brands, trades unions, with the manufacturers themselves on the Sustainability Compact to look at how are things going to develop, how is labour law going to change, how is the living wage going to rise. But that's one country. And I think we're used to seeing things happening at a country level, at a pilot project level. If I think of going to Pakistan, going to a textile dyeing factory there, where they're using modern European dyes. They've got a wonderful water processing unit, which, you know, clean water at the end of it, which then runs out into the water supply next door, which is virtually a sewer. So the bits are important because they start to show that things can happen and change can happen, but they have to add up. And I think what we're increasingly about is how do we make these small pieces, this niche, become the normal so that people can trust what they're buying, that people get a decent income from it, and it doesn't destroy the planet. Part of the argument that we have at the European level, we have at national levels, is about corporate social responsibility. Well, what we're told is, well, you know, this should be voluntary because the good companies will have good practice, the bad companies will see that, you know, the sky doesn't fall in and they will change their ways. Well, that's a long wait, it seems to me, in a lot of places. So there is now an increasing pressure around the issue of due diligence, which is certainly covered here. We are seeing it now, a battle going on, can we get it in there for conflict minerals? And if we can manage it for conflict minerals, as a friend of mine says, we can surely do it for the fashion industry. So due diligence is part of it. We've got a scheme going with the OECD, specifically for the garment and footwear industry, to look at working with 46 countries on really ratcheting up the issue about due diligence, taking responsibility for what you produce, and actually being able to prove that you've done your homework and that people are not living in slavery in order to produce what we wear on our backs. So there is action going on. In the Parliament, we get 1 minute to speak, so it's always a great temptation when you're somewhere where they can't shut the microphone off. Sorry, but there's supposed to be a flagship initiative, so-called. We're very fond of flagship initiatives at the European level. But a scheme which is going to be looking at, you know, the whole sort of responsibility along the supply chain in the garment industry, due out towards the end of April. unless somebody else wants a Brexit, some sort of exit, in which case they'll delay it. But this is due at the end of April. And I think it's going to be really important to see how we can work with that, how we can use acts like the Modern Slavery Act here to really develop the whole due diligence throughout the entire supply chain process, so that we really do have confidence that what we're wearing didn't cost somebody their life. Thank you.